Hello, everyone. Welcome to Black Link Magazine, where we are your one-stop shop for advertising. We are so excited to be here for this interview. I am Marva. I am the CEO and founder of Black Link Magazine, and I'm so excited to welcome Christopher Jackson. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Marva. It's a privilege and an honor to be here on this platform of your wonderful magazine and the organization that you have. So it's an honor for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I work a day job as well, and I know the hustle and the bustle. So I appreciate you coming right in and getting in on the interview. So let's just jump right in, Chris, and let's just tell the world who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Christopher Jackson. I'm an active duty service member as well as founder of an organization called Team Stay Motivated, which is a mental, spiritual, and physical positive movement, okay, to affect the lives of today to create a better generation for tomorrow. And so we just do that by everyday living. I think on social media, on a lot of platforms, we always highlight the negative things that's going on in life, hit the shade room, and no shade to the shade room because I go check them out as well. But just as much as we show the negative, I believe we should show the positive things that go on in life, and not only for ourselves as adults, but more importantly for our children. So they have something to see, that they see those opportunities that come about when you have men and women that's doing things, ordinary things, but in an extraordinary way. And so, I mean, that's what it is. Just tapping into all areas, whether it's physical fitness, whether it's spiritual direction, or whether it's just mental intestinal fortitude on how to get through that tough patching situation. That's what the brand is, and that's what we do.
All right. I love everything that you guys stand for. Thank you for serving our country. We appreciate you always. Anything negative will gain numbers. People will swarm to the negativity for some reason. But when you're trying to talk positive, it's like pulling teeth to get that same crowd to come and listen to what is positive and what's going to be very impactful positively on people's lives. And then you also talked about our young people and making an impact on them as well. And because they're our future. And when I see Black men as yourself, doing things that are positive and setting great examples for our young men, particularly, but our young children altogether, it just does my heart good because we need to see more of that. And when we're setting that example, then at least we're doing our part, right? So you serve our country. You're a public speaker. You wear so many different hats. Let's talk about your speaking engagements and what your topics are and what audience. Do you speak to young children as well? Is it across the board, age-wise, a large variety?
I try to go through, I've been a part of Les Brown's Power Group. I've been with Jeremy Anderson's Next Level Group. Obviously, connected with Eric Thomas, and actually met Tony Robbins when I was like 9 years old, right, back home in Houston. And so I tried to find a special audience that I can just tailor to and reach to. And what I come to find out in the life that I live and the paths that God has taken me in, I have a trademark, and it says the message ain't for everybody, but it's for somebody. And that's what it is. So it's more, if the shoe fit, wear it. If you don't like it, just go by. You ain't got to go check it out.
I like that.
But if the message applies to you, then you'll be, hey, that's your blessing. My grandmother used to say, eat the meat and throw away the bone. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So figure out what you want. So I don't have a target audience. It's really for a plethora of whoever is in need that day. I've been contacted from people from Germany, the UK, I mean, just all across the world, like, hey, I was depressed or I was suicidal and I seen your video or seen you talking to some other kids and it changed my life. And now I've graduated, I got the degree and blah, blah, blah. So you never know who you impacting. So you have to live your life as if it's your last day, because you never know who's watching. You never know who you impact. You don't know what seed that you're planting, and whoever gets that opportunity to see you do what you do.
That's right. You know, I live by always do the right things, even when no one's watching, right?
Mm.
Because even when no one's watching, because you never know who is watching you, right?
Right,
So
right.
I have had people that come to me and say, you know, I saw you here and what you said just ministered to my heart. And I've been walking with that ever since. I'm like, where were you? You know, so you have to be careful, especially when we're in the public and we're speaking to the public, you know, and the
Right.
way we carry ourselves. And kids, even though it may not seem like they're watching, they're paying attention. They're watching. They're
Oh yeah,
watching.
they pay attention all the time. I think us as adults, though, I think we have a responsibility, and I, in my opinion, in my experience, I think we suck at it as adults. But I think we have to have a level of transparency with
Yes.
young people. A
Yes.
lot of time we show our highlight reels and the greatness that's going on in our life and the houses, the cars, and the money, but nobody shows the bustle and the hustle. Nobody shows the struggle. Nobody shows the no pay due. And if we don't tell our young folks on what the grit, the intestinal fortitude that it takes you to endure to get there, they'll never have an understanding. So then when we let them go in life, life hits them upside the head and they're not prepared for it, right? And so I really pride myself on when I do my videos and I talk, I say, when I'm talking to you, I'm really talking to myself because I'm talking to you from three angles. I either already went through it, I'm going through it, or I'm about to go through it. So half the time when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. So I'm saying, hey, this is what comes with the greatness. This is what comes with operating in purpose. This is there's a it's sort of like to me, women are so powerful, but when a woman carries a baby for 9 months, right? It's not all beautiful and scenery going on. No, there's some contractions that happen. There's some
Yeah.
kicking. There's some
Yeah.
pain that goes with that. But a woman has the capacity in the body. She's built for it. You built to endure for your baby to be born. You can't say, I want a baby, don't want to endure the pain.
Right.
You can't say, I want this, but I don't want to go through that. You can't pick and choose what you want. You got to be ready, right? You got to be ready and operate in your purpose, live in your purpose, and do what you have to do, right? This is something that I tell people. You got to do what you hate to do in order for you to achieve what God wants you to achieve.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, so if you're willing to do that, those blessings will come. So that transparency, I think, is very important.
I think so too. You know, God didn't say that it was going to always just be an easy road. And we do have to teach our children that there's going to be some bumps in the road, but how are you going to handle that? You know, I was listening to an interview yesterday and it was with the mother, Jada Pinkett Smith, and her mom and her daughter and Bobby Brown. And on that, they were talking about how, you know, setting examples and you tell your children to do something, but you're doing something else. And her daughter, you know, kind of called her out and said, I can remember when you was like, don't do this and you do that. And she said, you're sitting here telling me not to do this. And I'm sitting here doing what you're doing. So what you're telling me to do, telling me not to do, you're doing it. So that's why we got to be transparent. That's why we can't say, oh, everything will be all right, because everything ain't always all right. It's how you maneuver through it to get.
That's that we say in the military. That's that do as I do. You know, I mean, do as I say, not as I do. Right. Hey, I know you see me over here chilling with my feet kicked up, but that's besides the point. Look, I've arrived. You need to do what you need to do, right? But the generation of today, especially from the military perspective, but the generation of today, when I came up and the elder said, hey, blah, 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 we said, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and we moved out.
That's right.
But the generation of today, the soldiers of today, right? You say, hey, go do boom, boom, boom. The first word comes out their mouth is why, right? Back in the day, if I would have told my grandmama why, I'd have caught that backhand real quick, you know, right? But nowadays, the generation is of the why. And the why is important. It's kind of hard for, you know, some adults to address the why, but the way that the young folks are driven nowadays, you have to provide the why, because in my opinion, the younger generation, they may not have the same grit and determination and toughness as we have, but in my opinion, they're smarter. They're more intelligent. Right. So if you give them the why and it makes sense to them, the why then drives the purpose for them to reach the end state that you want them to reach. So If me telling you why is what helps you get to your end state, I'll tell you why every day.
Right.
Well, why I gotta do this, sir? Well, look, this is why you got to do this. If we don't do this, this will not happen. If you don't do this, this will. You're like, okay, that makes sense, son. Okay, cool. Carry on. Do what you got to do.
You know, that's why my mom is always like, she said, why? She said, because my mother didn't play that and we knew better, right? But the children are different. And she was like, I gotta just remind myself that it's the kids, the culture has changed. The generations have changed, and the way you handle them today maybe determine on their success, how successful they'll be, right? So you have to answer. I like that. You have to answer their why. You also talk about transparency, and I used to not want to tell my story and the things that I had to endure and from the decisions that I made, right? I made some horrible decisions in all of my 20s. And then now I'm standing here before you and you don't know me. You didn't know what I did in my 20s, but how did you get right here today? It wasn't because I just popped up here. I had to go through some stuff because of my decision making, right? I made some choices that weren't so good. And so I have to tell my story. I used to wouldn't want to do that. What do you say about being able to get out there, no matter what it looks like, and tell your story?
You got my blood flowing when you said that. This is what I tell people. Somebody may tell you, they say, hey, I know him. I remember him back when he used to do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Right? And then somebody comes say, hey, such and such, this is what they said about you. What you say about that? I say, believe them. Believe them. Because check it out. The 19-year-old Jackson is not the 25-year-old Jackson. The 25-year-old Jackson ain't the 30-year-old Jackson. The 30-year-old Jackson is not the 35-year-old Jackson. So it's wherever you met me in whatever season I was in, that's probably what I was doing. But guess what? God has allowed me to evolve. God has allowed me to grow, right? I had to go through a growth process, right? I had to break the yoke in order for me to get to where he wanted me to be. So whatever they said about me, whenever they met me, I probably was doing that, but they got to see me now. So I'm openly and readily to tell my story. I could tell you, hey, back then I was off the chain. Right. Back then I was a whole fool. Right. But for me to get to where I'm at now, I had to endure. There's seasons I had to go through. This ain't no easy process. Well, you did do that. I'm not in denial, ma'am, sir. I did those things. If that changes your perception of me, ain't got nothing to do with that. Because you're judging me off of 19, you're judging me off 10, 15 years ago. Come on now. I've grown so much. There's so many storms I've endured. There's so many blessings that came my way. There's so many losses. There's so many gains you have. And I can share the story with you, but do you have enough time? Do you have enough time to hear what I got to tell you? Because a lot of people don't want to take the time to really listen and hear your story, right? Because they have their lens. I hate that we do this, but we do. We judge people based off of our preconceived notation that we already have of them, right? We look, we say, okay, she this way, he this way. I bet this, I bet that. And then when they speak to you, they say, oh, that didn't quite go the way that I thought it was going to go. Maybe there's more to it, right? Don't judge me. Don't judge me. You don't know me. That's what I tell people all the time. I don't judge nobody, right? It's sort of like, I remember growing up in the church. You see some people will sit there and they'll just stomp their foot. Some people hand clap. Some people run around the church slide, depending on what church you go to. Some folks do the thing. And folks like, oh, they doing too much. And I would tell people, I say, you can't judge their praise because you don't know what they went through. You don't know what they do. Somebody may have been suicidal last night. Somebody may have been depressed. Somebody may have lost a son or daughter last night. So you can't judge them off their praise. They praise it. Hey, listen, this is what I say. The hell that you're going through, your praise better match it to be better.
That's right.
The more I'm going to get mine in. So, yeah, I don't care about none of that stuff. I share it all.
The interview is over. No. That was so good. Oh my gosh, I love this. And it's true. It's so true. Don't judge me before you get to know me. I've made that mistake. Yes, I did it. But what about now, who I am now? Who I am is what God wanted me to be. And I wouldn't take nothing back. I wouldn't take it back because I need to be right here.
There you go.
And that's what
If you take it back, you would not be the person that you are
take it
today.
back.
I had to go through it. The person that you're looking at today, all those things I did, all those things I endured, and all those things that I'm currently enduring
Yeah.
are all the part of the variables and components in the DNA that make me who I am today. So I embrace it. I embrace it all day, every day, right? And I think the biggest thing in capturing that mentality is you have to live in purpose. You have to know your why. You have to, in my opinion, no one is roaming around this earth for no reason at all.
Right.
God has you on earth for an intentional reason.
That's right.
Right? There's a reason why you're here. All you got to do is figure it out. See, this is the test though. He gives you the free will to make the choices and decisions that you want to make, huh? But at the end of the day, he gonna get some glory out of here. He gonna say, I let her go on do her own thing for a while.
Yeah.
He gonna get you two ways, voluntarily or involuntarily.
I'm a living witness. Living witness.
Come on back here. You done had too much fun. Let me get you right. Oh, he thought he got it figured out. He thought, listen, he thought the race was over. Hey, son, you need to run a lap. Come on, God. No. You did run the lap, but you ran the wrong route. You got another lap to go. Come on now. You got another lap to go. Come on back. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay. Let me regroup. I love it.
Welcome to Black Link Magazine, the right magazine for the right purpose. We aim to elevate your business to the next level through advertisements, features, and of course, interviews. If you are an entrepreneur, author, talent, or entertainer, contact us today, blacklinkmag.com.
So I was looking at your bio and it was talking about something about the sign language.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
talk
ma'am.
about that. Let's talk about that ministry.
Okay, so both my parents are deaf. My father's 100% deaf. My mother is hearing impaired. I have a younger brother and sister. We can all talk and hear, but our parents are deaf. And so grew up in a deaf household. Didn't grow up poor, didn't grow up rich, middle class, decent, but grew up in the projects. I know about government cheese, all that there, the foil on the antenna, the fan in the windowsill.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so growing up that way, what I didn't understand, I thought it was normal living, right? It was nothing unorthodox about growing up in a deaf household. I didn't realize until I got older, when I look back at, my family dynamics, when I look at the complexities, I realized that I have two aunts on my father's side, his sisters, and they can talk and hear like you and me. Right. But my first cousins, who I love so dearly, they came out deaf.
Oh, wow.
And then it clicked. And I asked myself, I said, how did it skip me? How did it skip us? Why would you skip us? And then I said, oh, well, if God gave me a voice, I got to use it. I hate to go this route with you. I'm sorry, but it's saying there, it said, let everything that have breath praise the Lord, right? And it said, I don't know about you, but I won't let the rocks cry out in my place, right? I can't let the rocks cry out on my. So as long as I got breath in me, right? Even though, check this out, even though my mother's hard of hearing, right? When my mother pushed me out her womb, right? And the doctor picked me up and then he hit my back.
Yes.
The first cry out my mouth was my first praise to God. You see what I mean? So as long as I have breath in me, I'm going to use it to uplift, to motivate, to inspire others. I have a choice to use it for evil. I have a choice to use it for negativity, but I want to use it to uplift. You know why? Because according to doctors, according to scientists, of course, to him, them, and that, right? I ain't even supposed to have a voice because of where I come from, the loins that I come from. I just told you my father 100% deaf, my mother's 50% deaf, but here I am in the interview with you, right? Talking, and when I speak, I tell people, hey, you probably think I'm loud. You probably think I talk too much. Maybe you think I want to be seen, but see, you don't know. You don't know what could have been. You don't know what happened. So as long as I got breath in my body, I'm going to use it in such a way, right, to do my purpose and do God's will. And so that's what I do.
Amen. I wasn't sure where that came from. I was like, okay, and that is a powerful story. And you're right. You wonder, well, why me? But who? You make me want to get up and run, because as long as he gives me breath in my body, as long as I can impact somebody's life, long as I live, I'm going to keep reaching for my dreams. I'm going to keep impacting people's lives. I'm going to keep doing the right things. And I don't care who don't like it, right? Because I think that I'm trying to live every day purposeful and walk in my purpose. And the reason, and the way that we can find our purpose is that we go and we talk to God and we spend time with him and we figure out, he'll let us know what our purpose is.
Oh, yes, he will. Oh, yes, he will.
Thank you.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Woo. Okay. So do you ever go and speak to the deaf? Do you ever do any engagements with them?
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you. I've been in the military now 16 years and 8 months, right? So I haven't had that much interaction with the deaf since I joined the military.
Okay.
The way that I grew up, but the interaction that I have had is when I was a drill sergeant on the trail. A quick story, there was a guy named Keith Nolan that went to University of Maryland, deaf guy, passed with honors, all that. When it was time to get commissioned, he couldn't get commissioned because he was deaf.
Right.
Well, there I was doing my military duties, and I'm on CQ. It's like an Overwatch when you're watching the soldiers. And somebody shot me the message of this guy. They said, hey, you need to check this story out. So I watch it. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I put it down. I watch it a second time, because this duty I'm on is 24 hours.
Right.
So I watched it a second time. I said, man, pretty unique. And then I watched it the third time, and then I had a conviction, right? I said, hey, man, there's no way that you can be born to deaf parents and you not speak out on, the inequality, if you will, right? And the opportunities that's provided. And so when I thought about it, I said, hey, this guy passed with flying colors, but he can't hear. But right here on base, there's a deaf civilian that works at the defect, at the cafeteria. There's a deaf person that works in human resources that does admin. That's doing the same exact job that soldiers are doing. So what I did is I did a video in uniform. I didn't think nothing about it. It was automatic. I did a video in sign language advocating for the deaf to join the military. And my point of view was not for them to serve in the capacity of combat arms, right? Because when you're out there on the fight, you got to shoot, move, and communicate, right? So if you can't hear, you can't do that. But as a cook, as a human resource and some of those other support logistics, right? You can serve in that capacity. And that's what I was advocating for.
Right.
Little did I know, once I did the video and I put it down, by the time the morning came, I was getting phone calls and texts from a bunch of friends. They said, hey man, you're viral. I said, what are you talking about? I only probably had 500-600 friends on Instagram followers. Right. What are you talking about? And I go look, and somebody else who had a huge following had took the video and put it on their stuff. In less than like 4 hours, that video was at like 1.5 million views. I got off duty and I went home to go to sleep. At probably 1 o'clock, my first son calls me. He says, hey, we got to go see the CG. We got to go see the commanding general. I was like, wow, I did something wrong. He was like, well, that video, I don't know if you've seen, but it's at 4.3 million views. What?
Oh my!
So I had to get dressed. I had to go see the general, and I didn't get in trouble. What was said was, your situation is unique. We never had anybody like you, that served, in this capacity. Our only thing to you was, we love the video, but you did the video in uniform. And so it's a conflict, right? Because it's as if I'm saying the military is advocating for deaf to join. Right. So he's like, we just ask if this is the route that you're going to take, that you advocate, because we understand why. Just don't do it in uniform. Yeah. And so it was so unique, in the way God works is so crazy. It went from that to, in the next 3 months, they had used me for Thanksgiving and other soldiers. I got to teach trainees how to say Happy Thanksgiving in sign language. And we did a commercial and put it on the internet. A couple months after that, the guy that I did the video for, the Army at the time at Fort Jackson, where I was stationed, allowed him. He created at Maryland School for the Deaf the first ROTC program for deaf students.
Oh, wow.
In return, the Army allowed them to come to Fort Jackson, and they got some of the basic training experience for at least a week. So they got to go through the obstacles. They got to do the physical, rigorous training. They got to eat at the defect. They got to march, right? And even though it wasn't the real thing, just to experience it, and still, even to this day, and this was back in 2017, I believe, when this happened. So it's been, 4 or 5 years. So even to this day, the deaf cannot join the Army. But to me, whether I'm still alive when it happens or whether I am, I know that a seed was planted. I know that I was able to crack the door to create the opportunity. And that's another thing about when you operate in purpose, right? When you're operating in purpose, it has to be unselfish, right? Your purpose has nothing to do with you. Your purpose always has to do with the bigger picture. Who else are you blessing? Who else are you inspiring? Yeah. And so when I understood that, I felt real comfortable in my zone, right? Because I said, I may not see the fruits of my labor. I may not see the fruition, but to know that I was able to plant the seed, to know that, I was one of those trailblazers in this journey, it was a blessing. So I'm a definite advocate for the deaf. I try to do sign language videos. I may do an R&B song or a gospel song in sign language, because growing up in the church, I did sign language for my parents. And my goal in doing sign language was, I want the deaf to see with their eyes what we hear with our ears, right? Sometimes you see those people on the TV screen in the bubble who sign, give you an example of TD Jakes. If he's preaching and he said, get ready, get ready, get ready, right? A person on the news would say, right? To me, the deaf really, they see it, but you can't feel that the way that he said it. So when Jake says, get ready, get ready, get ready, I'm like, yes. So you feel it how I'm hearing it. And so that's the piece where I try to, various songs, mainly R&B and gospel, I try to express those songs in such a way that when the deaf does see it, they can feel it the way that I've expressed it. So that's really my connection to the deaf. My brother, he's still down in Houston. He's around the deaf community, very fluent in sign language. So sometime me and him, we do I'll probably do the motivational speaking part, and we'll probably do a split screen and he'll sign, because one of the difficult things for me to do is to talk and sign at the same time. Because I'm so extra when I talk, I don't got time to make sure I sign this correctly, right? I done messed it up. So people like, you can do it. I'm like, no, I'd rather my brother do it. Just let me talk and we figure it out. But that's with the deaf community.
That's good. This interview has blessed my heart. I really am touched by the interview, and I'm touched by the things that you're doing and the energy that you're putting out in the atmosphere and planting the seeds that you're planting, right? And taking in consideration the young that's coming up behind us, right? They're our future, and how we're setting these examples for them, how we're being transparent. And if we just do our part, right?
That's it.
That's all we can do is our part. Then I can live with myself. I can be happy. The Bible speaks about putting ourselves on the back burner and serving others. See, I go out and serve others.
Come on now, service.
It's not about me. It's about him. He gets the glory, right? So I always want to be mindful of that. And I teach kids, go serve and don't expect nothing back in return. That's not what we're supposed to do. So I appreciate the like-mindedness, and I appreciate the conversation. So before we get out of here, what would you leave with someone that is in despair, someone that's just down, someone that needs to fix their mindset and figure out what their purpose is? They don't know what it is. There's like, have you ever ran across somebody's like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing in this life, and I don't even know how to figure it out. What do you tell them?
So I'm gonna be transparent with you in this interview, and nobody even really know this. I'm gonna be transparent with you. I've probably been off of social media for about 3 weeks. I've deactivated my pages. I ain't deleted. I just deactivated, right? And some folks have hit me up. Hey, I ain't seen your stuff. Where you at? Because a lot of what I found myself doing, I was feeding everybody else. But I wasn't feeding myself.
Come on, yeah.
Right? Feeding everybody else. And it's okay for folks to say, thank you for speaking. That was a great message. But your words, right? I appreciate the accolades, but I need to be fed, right? I'm feeding you, but I'm not feeding myself. And I was talking to one of my mentors, and we was talking in the sense of grandmama, right? We was talking in the sense of mama, and say, Mama, you don't never sit down and eat with us. And Mama say, well, baby, that's because I eat while I'm cooking. So I eat while I'm cooking. And so what I noticed, I was cooking and I was giving out the food, but I didn't test the food. I don't know how the food tastes, right? And Mama never sat at the table, right? Because Mama was eating and making your plates. So Mama didn't need to sit at the table, in the way she was able to still move and had energy because Mama fed herself first, right? And so I realized that despite, you know, the social media and the highlight reels and how many people and followers, this, that, and the third, I said, I got to take this time to reset. I got to take this time to reset and restore, to feed myself, to make sure that because if I'm not right,
come on.
If I'm not right, how am I feeding you to make sure that you're right? Then, you know, I find myself, you know, going through mild depression, right? I find myself doing this. I tell people, be a real model, not a role model, right? Right? Because the idea is, I caught myself posting things on social media to post, right? Usually when I post something because something fell in my spirit.
Right.
There's a stirring of the gift, if you will. Sometimes I can't sleep good. I just, you know, grandma I feel something. I say, oh yeah. Okay, I got that word. I got to speak. But if I didn't get it in my spirit, and a week went by or 2 weeks went by, I say, man, I got to post something because I didn't post nothing at this time. And I would post something and somebody said they were blessed by it, but I wasn't in my right space. You know what I mean? I was pouring from an empty vessel. I was pouring from an empty cup. I said, you know what? I'm going to come off social media. I'm going to reset, and I'm going to take however long I got to take, right? Because if God be who he say he is, which I know he is, right? If he be for me, then who can be against me? So when I come back on the scene, right? I already know that despite how long I've been gone, whether it's a month, whether it's 2, whatever it may be, that he's going to enlarge my territory because I took the time to acknowledge him. I took the time so I can decrease so he may increase. I took the time to say, hey, you know what? And you know, he a jealous God, right? If I put all my time doing social media and looking into the comments and the likes, and I'm always constantly on my phone looking at this stuff, God say, the very thing that you look at and you focus at more than me is the very thing that he'll use to humble you and take away. I say, hey, listen, the old head say, purge me, Lord. Look, I don't want to be purged. Don't purge me. I purge myself. I beat you to the point. Let me get off this thing. Let me, you know, and so I would tell people sometime you got to find some time to go to your quiet place.
Right.
So you won't be distracted by the outside noises, right? And that you can hear the voice that resonates with your spirit, right? And then if you do that, as I said earlier, everybody in life has a gift. You have a purpose, right? Even if you don't know what your gift and purpose is. There's in the military, right? We have something called PCS orders, right? What PCS order says is, Jackson, you're going to be, there's a Fort Hood, there's a Fort Bragg, there's a Fort Campbell, Fort Drum. This is the duty station that you're going to. So the PCS orders get me to the duty station. The pinpoint orders get me exactly to what job I'll be doing and exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I say, even if you don't have pinpoint orders, find out what your PCS orders is. Find out there's an area. Even if you say, well, I think I'm supposed to be doing this, that, and the third. I tell you, whatever's in your spirit the most. There's a pulling, there's a tugging, right? That happens on the inside.
True.
If that, and you got to be honest with yourself. I think Michael Jackson said it best. I'm looking at the man in the mirror, right? Yeah. As you look at the man, as you look at the woman in the mirror, that pulling, that tugging, you have to be honest with yourself. You know what? I'm probably supposed to be doing this over there. Right? And as you do that, and you're genuine with yourself, and you walking in your faith, right? Do that without fear. right?
Mm.
A lot of times,
Woo.
you know, fear is fake evidence appearing real. You see what I mean? So when you move without fear and you walk in faith, right? Some people say, well, I don't believe in all that thing. I say, but look, you can't see the air, but you're breathing. That's faith. That's exactly what faith is. I can't see it, but I got to believe it because I'm breathing and I'm talking, right? So when you remove fear and you move in faith, and you said something at the end that got me fired up, and you're in service when
Mm.
you serve others.
Mm.
Servitude leadership is what I love. You know, everybody always talk about David and Goliath, right? That's a big story in the Bible, right?
Yes.
But I think what the people miss about David and Goliath, it's a very small part that people miss. You're talking about David killed Goliath, but you never talk about how David got to the place. The way that David got to the place was his father Jesse said, take these breads and cheeses to go feed your brothers and those on the front line. David got to the place by service. So a lot of times when you service others, you will get to a place where you don't look like you fit in. You don't have the title, you don't have the rank, you don't have the position, but you're at the place because your service got you there. So when you're there and they say, and David was so bold when he got there, David said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? So when you get to the place where you feel like you're amongst people and you don't deserve to be there, you're going to identify something that they can't identify and say, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? How did this person get it? But they don't know that you defeated a lion with your bare hands. They don't know that you defeated the bear. They don't know that service is what got you to the place. So when you walk in faith, when you move without fear and you in service of others, you'll get to where you're supposed to be. You just got to keep
fact. Pure facts. Pure facts. I believe it. So you did say, oh, thank you. Thank you. So anyway, you did say that you're off of social media, but still go ahead before we get out of here and tell the people where they can find you, how they can reach you whenever you are back.
Okay, so if you tune in, I ain't gonna give y'all no estimated time because I'll be honest with you, I'm just moving and going. But it's team_stay motivated on IG. Before I deactivated, I probably got about 18,000 followers there. You can find me on YouTube. You just put in Team Stay Motivated. I got a little bit of everything. I got some cadence videos. I got some motivational videos, some sign language videos. I got a little bit of this, that, and then I have my own website, which is www.tsmmovement.com. And there you can see some of the things that we've done and some of the things that we have to come. Actually going to probably launch a campaign when I come back that's called UOU. That's what UOU. You know, which goes back to you got to feed yourself first. You know, so I probably got to take care of yourself first. So try to come out with some new merch, and hopefully by the time I come back on, my book will be complete, and then I'm able to push that out to the masses. So
let me know. I know you got a following, but I'm willing to push it where my little people as well and support you as well. So just let us know.
I'm grateful.
Stay in touch.
I'm grateful, and I'm like I said, I'm humble for this opportunity to be on your platform, and what you're doing is amazing. So you got all the support and gratitude for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. God bless you. Continue doing what you're doing. Continue being impactful. Continue putting out the good stuff so you get the good stuff back in.
Come on now.
I'm going to get out of here. His information will be at the bottom of this interview. Remember, respect yourself and respect others. We're out.